Okay, so we go to Rondo music right here. We're scrolling on down. And as you can see right there, that's the model. It's actually that color, the blue color the one that we are going to look at, obviously. But that one's left-handed, so we got the right-handed one. Furrian SX. SX Furrian RN Alder SSS VWH. Now, we're looking at a guitar that is a replica of, it is similar to a Nashville configuration Telecaster, the ones with 3 pickups and the 5-way switch as far as the switching between the pickups. So you're going to get a lot of similarity between a Telecaster and low-key Stratocaster because it has that middle Strat pickup. So you can definitely get some versatility out of this guitar in terms of get a little Tele sound. You can get a little Stratocaster sound out of it. Okay, so let's look at the specs. Okay, so Furrian with 3 single coil pickups. Great sound, perfect for rock, jazz, blues, country, and more. So yeah, whatever. Sure, why not? Okay, maple neck with 21 jumbo frets. This is a factual statement. And dot inlays. So you can see the dot inlays down the neck. Traditional retro-styled 3-piece body made of alder. It's okay. Yeah, no big deal. That is fine. You know, I mean, it's a more affordable guitar, so you could say that, oh, a fancy guitar would be made out of 1 piece, but it hasn't proven to be make any real difference because it's an electric guitar, so the wood, I don't really believe in tone wood. I think that's just a marketing gimmick. A guitar is a guitar. If it has the pickups, it'll play through the amp. The wood that's underneath it is more for your style and to look cool, but it doesn't really matter what shape it is or what the wood is made out of. Chrome covered single coil pickup and 2 standard single coil pickups. Okay, so they're saying one of them is basically a Strat style. You can see that one in the middle is a Strat style, and the neck and the bridge are more traditional Tele-style slanted bridge. Is a Tele-style. 6 adjustable saddles for string height, radius, and intonation. Okay, very nice. We've got passive volume and tone controls, create dynamic effects, and can produce a punchier sound. Passive, I mean, it just means traditional electric guitar. You plug it into the amp and the controls will power. It doesn't mean anything special. I don't know why they put that word in there, but a padded carry bag and instructional DVD. Now mine came with a bag with it. The bag wasn't padded, honestly, and I've since given it away. I think I packaged it with another guitar to send off to someone for free because I have an excess of bags and cases for guitars. So it wasn't much use to me. But if you're just starting out, it's sure, why not? It's not going to protect your guitar from bangs, but maybe scuffs. You know, maybe any scratches or dust or something like that. Whatever. You hold on to it until you find something better. Okay, so now let's look at these specs right here. The overall length, including the strap button, 39 inches. That's pretty standard. You know, you're competing with the size of a Telecaster, pretty much the same size. Scale length, 25.5 inches. Also, you're dealing with the same scale length that you would have on a Stratocaster or Telecaster, so that's going to be the same. Width at the widest point, sure, 12.75 of an inch. Width of the neck at the nut, 42 millimeters or 1 5/8 of an inch. So that is actually an important piece of information because if you want to change the nut and replace it, that's giving you the millimeter size that you would want to get to replace it. And then, you know, if you did want to replace that neck, then a standard Telecaster neck nut that width would be fine. Okay, so the thickness of the neck at the first fret, 7 eighths of an inch. The thickness of the body, 1 3/4 inches. The neck radius, 13.7 inches, and weighs only 8 pounds. Now, as far as the body thickness, I'm not looking at the specs of the actual Nashville, so I'm not sure. I would imagine it'd probably a little bit thinner than the actual, but I don't know for sure. Now I do know that the neck radius, that's a considerable a bit flatter than what you would get on a lot of Telecasters or Stratocaster standards. A lot of them will come with 9.5 radius necks. Some of them will come with 12. I've seen 7.5 also. So what does that mean? It means like the larger the radius. So for this one, it would be larger than a standard Telecaster. The larger the radius, the flatter the fretboard will feel. The lower the radius, the more curved the fretboard will feel. So what that basically means is a curved fretboard is nice for playing chords. Feels kind of nice to do bar chords with the contour of your hand. I'm talking personal experience, how I experience the radius. And the flatter is, you're kind of looking at more like a 335 neck, Les Paul neck, where, it's to me, I like those more for playing single line, shredding, things like that. And I prefer the lower radius if you got to play a lot of chords, if you're more the chord player, singer-songwriter style. But the beauty of this is this neck doesn't, to me, feel like a Les Paul neck. It's kind of somewhere in between, because even though the radius is flatter than a traditional neck that you would find on maybe a Squire or an actual Telecaster, the neck is thinner and not as beefy as a Les Paul or I have an Epiphone Casino. It's a lot less chunky than that. So even though it has a flat radius, it's kind of almost like the best of both worlds. It still has a very nice feel to it. So I'd actually honestly say that, the neck kind of feels in between the two. I wouldn't say it feels like a Les Paul neck, but I wouldn't say it feels exactly like a Tele neck either. It's kind of like somewhere right in the middle, which is kind of cool. Like the experience of playing it is actually a pleasant one. It's easy to play. Okay, so we're about to give the final overview of the SX Furrian. So we look at the total price, $179. So that's a decent price for any guitar, new guitar, as long as obviously the guitar works. So the requirements is the guitar stays in relatively decent tune, that the gear is changeable if anything on it is not, good, or it could be improved to make it a decent guitar. So that's kind of the bare minimum. If a guitar it doesn't have everything it needs right out of the gate, as long as I can upgrade it to make it reasonable, then I think it's a decent instrument. That being said, I think right out of the gate, this is a decent instrument. Now, you got comparisons like where else would you get a guitar? Maybe you would go to Guitar Fetish. Maybe you would look at the local shop and look at a Fender Squire. Maybe you would look at you have a Fender Nashville and you're looking for a backup that's somewhat similar, maybe not exactly the same, but similar. Maybe you could put similar pickups in there and get coax a similar sound out of this, and then so now I think, well, why get this guitar? This guitar, you would get this if you're a beginner, you're just starting out, you want an electric guitar. Maybe you're an acoustic guitar player, or you're a bass player who wants to try an electric guitar. So I think this would be actually a recommended instrument for that kind of person. You're like a producer or recording, someone who does recording, and maybe you're not primarily a guitarist, but you like having a guitar sound and a few chords, and the price of the guitar makes it so that it's not prohibitive. You can have an extra guitar in the studio. If you want a backup guitar, you're a guitarist, you're a live musician, a recording guitarist, and you just want an extra guitar because you either want a backup in case a string breaks, whatever, or you just want a different sound, and this is an affordable way to get a guitar that may be different from one that you have. Maybe you have one with humbuckers or P90s or a slightly different configuration, and you want to try something different. So I think it would be recommended for all of those reasons. This is an affordable guitar, and it sounds good. Tele design. Guitars in general are simple designs, but they're durable. The necks have proven themselves over the course of history. And so this is no exception. It's just a solidly built instrument. It's not going to require a ton of maintenance if you just kind of take care of it. Okay, now those are some of the reasons to get it. Now some of the positives, the pros are it's really good value. Has a good sound. The pickups I thought sounded really nice. I enjoyed it. I enjoy playing. It's comfortable to play. Some of the cons are just the high E string slips sometimes, and it's a little heavier than I would like, but it's not that big a deal. So really, honestly, for the price, I ended up paying like $129 for it, and I don't know if they offered free shipping at the time or not, or I had to pay shipping. But either way, I don't think it's more, even with the shipping in total, it wasn't more than like $160 for the guitar. So at that price, it's a very good value. Now that being said, there are some things that I did modify on this guitar. Now keep in mind, some of the things that I modified this guitar were not because the guitar was lacking in any way. These are things I would actually probably do on most any guitar that I have, and I have done on other guitars. And if anything, I've done kind of maybe less modifications on this guitar than I might have on others. Okay, so things that I did modify, I did get locking tuners. So I went to guitarfetish.com and just kind of made sure that the type of tuners that I would want would fit. And so I got some locking tuners, which, it's not a tuning stability thing or anything. It's just an ease of changing strings for me personally. It just makes it a lot easier to restring the guitar. Okay, now this is something that I do on every guitar that I get. I get the guitar set up because my goal is to play on stage with these and to record. I need them to be set up in terms of I need the intonation to be decent, good, solid. I need the intonation where the 12th fret on the strings is tuned to the same E as the open E, and all of that. And then also I like just making sure the action is exactly where I want it. I also like getting heavy gauge string, not super heavy, but 11 to 12 off the E gauge strings. So I asked the tech just to make sure it gets set up, the nut gets set up for that gauge of string. So they're carved and made sure that it's specified to that gauge of string. And then I usually get a guitar that plays very, very nicely. On this one also, I did replace the nut and I added a string tree. And I added one more thing that was an electronics plate. Just everything, rewired the guitar, 7-way switcher mod. So that engages either the pickup or all three based on a mod switch that I have, which that's just something that I particularly wanted. And I really enjoy it. And I didn't like the electronics that came with it initially. I just didn't think when I was turning the tone knobs, I was getting all that I could out of the tone. And I feel like it's a lot better now. So all in all, with the price that I initially paid and all of those extra things that I got changed, because the beauty was that when I got my guitar set up, because a lot of things have to be changed during your setup, it's not that big a deal for them to put in the new tuners because he's going to put new strings on it anyway. So for the setup, I got him to replace the string tree, nut, and all of those. He kind of rolled it into the price, so I ended up paying like $100 for the setup, which I thought was a really good price. Honestly, shout out, I went to the Guitar Center to get this particular one set up. Just because I don't think I'd ever been to the Guitar Center before to get it set up, and I just wanted to go there just to see how it was, and it turned out pretty good. The guy, Brad, was a super nice guy, and he hooked it up, and it's been playing really nice. Honestly, I play it every day. So, I don't know. I mean, like with me, like Teles are super comfortable to play. Over the course of time, you like things like the 335s and things with wings and beautiful guitars, but Tele's just simple. They work. They sound good if you know how to play. And so I've really enjoyed this guitar. This is honestly my main everyday, like what I pick up, and because it's just simple, it's inexpensive, so I'm not worried about it getting dinged up or if I leave it lying around the house or anything like that. It's just like I don't have to put it away and keep it hermetically sealed and preserve its beauty in that particular way just because it's so durable and like nothing's gonna happen to it. So I would highly recommend this instrument for the reasons that I mentioned before, right? If you need those, if you're thinking about those guitars for any of the reasons that I thought you might want an extra guitar, you're thinking of a present for someone who's just getting into guitar and they're a beginner, someone who plays acoustic guitar and they want to try electric. I feel like personally the price is so affordable that you can, like, if you don't like it at the end of the day, you can just sell it, which is what I did. I got two Furrians. I got the one with P90s that looks like a Stratocaster body, and I like them both, but I ended up getting the Furrian set up, and then after you get a guitar set up, it's really hard to compete with a guitar that isn't set up because you're asking the tech to make the guitar specifically what you like as far as how high the strings are, from the neck, the action, for those of you who already know, but that's what that's called. And, when the action's set up for you, it's intonated well. A lot of the times when you get new guitars, you'll tune it up, but because the nuts aren't set up properly, open chords will sound a little out of key and those kind of things. Once you get all of that stuff cleared up, almost any guitar is fun to play. And so, that's kind of what happened after this guitar. After I took it to my friend to get it set up, it just became a really enjoyable instrument. And that's something that I used to neglect in my early guitar playing career, my early electric guitar playing. I just didn't put a ton of into guitar maintenance. And then once I got my first setup and realized how much it changed the playability of the guitar, it really kind of blew my mind in terms of like how important a setup is. When we can talk about that in another video, kind of why I get my guitar set up and why I think that the extra $100 or whatever that I put into it is worth it. Or if you know how to do it yourself, it's totally worth it and is almost something that's necessary if you want the guitar to play in a way that is really pleasant, easy to play for you. And if your guitar is pleasant and easy to play, you're going to play it more. So that's why I think even though it's a little bit extra, in the long run, if you're someone who thinks they're going to play guitar like me, like every day, a few hours a day, 20, 30 minutes a day, whatever, that setup is really a key ingredient on making it more comfortable and more pleasant to play for you. So, this guitar, highly recommended. I think it's very, very good value. I think for the price, even though it's a higher price than what I paid at $179, I still think it's worth it. And I think that with a setup, this is a really, really fun guitar to play, and it really sounds cool. So thank you for watching, and happy hunting, happy shopping.